electrical vehicle. So what we are doing is we are providing a domestic chargers wherein actually the user, the electrical car owner can charge his car by using our charger with any of the plug. Like that plug can be a 3-pin plug, which is a 3-phase 3-pin plug, as well as actually it can be a 250 watts plug, or it can be a 160. But our charger will charge the car with a domestic charger, which is provided to OEMs. Recently we have given one domestic charger to one of the OEM. So that will do this sort of work. And another thing is now, so once the EV car is charged fully, then it go for from 200 miles to up to 300 miles. So now actually it requires some rapid chargers. It requires some rapid chargers to charge the car within a 20 minutes time. So where we come into the picture, and we created some sort of commercial chargers on the road. So wherein actually user can, the EV vehicle owner can go to the charger and take the mobile application and put the gun into the car and take the mobile application, and by paying some sort of commercials, then they can start their charge. They can charge their car. They can charge their vehicle. It can be 2-wheeler or 3-wheeler or 4-wheeler. So that sort of solutions we provided so far, and which is into the cloud, and with our ecosystem, it is possible even to reserve the slot also, to reserve the slot of that EV charger in the commercial space.
Which is an iPhone. I've got a particular adapter for the iPhone.
Yes.
Every time I change my car, I have to buy a slightly different adapter to be able to charge my phone. It charges at the same rate. It doesn't charge at the same time. And if my children have got a Samsung or any other Android, it can't use the same charger.
Yeah.
So I've got to continually go and buy lots and lots of different charger. But what you've just said to me is, not only is it just one charger with a uniform arena, but actually I can choose the speed of how quickly I want to charge it.
Yep.
Which again, to the consumer, is absolutely brilliant, because one of the problems we know of electric vehicles today is that they've actually got quite a limited journey time.
Yeah.
I mean, we hear of up to 300 miles. I actually watched a car program the other day, and Audi have made a vehicle that actually has only got 12 miles because they've made it for a very specific use. And the other thing we do know is that I'm old enough to remember the first mobile phones, where the actual phone was about this size, and then the batteries filled up the trunk. so I am old enough to remember those sort of things. But this is the key. We're in this 21st century arena. We don't need to be down that route. And I just think of what you're doing is absolutely fantastic, and we need to get that message out there. But equally, we need to get the message about you. Who is Satya? You've come on a journey, but now you're in a very particular market space. If I may say, you're probably a market leader. And having said that, I mean, it's a big global world here, but you are probably a market leader, as I would call it, and therefore you're an influencer. So let's just ask you a couple of questions about what motivates you. Why have you gone down this particular arena?
See, like when I see in the market, actually, I'm a pure techie guy. Actually, I started my career in 1998. So I started my career with I started my career as a Java programmer. So I worked in Singapore for 6 years, and I worked on so many technologies, and I worked on so many almost all operating systems. wherein I found some gaps wherein actually wherein I can come and create some products for the market, wherein actually that's what I found. Then later, when I came back to India, I saw some gaps where in the market there is no much services coming to come and serve to this manufacturing industries and users. So I took that advantage, and slowly I started my company and migrated to many technologies, and finally landed and worked in mobile technologies, and later we migrated something like this. Then later part actually where I found a lot gap, actually people are concentrating on normal what do you say, like normal solutions, like normal day-to-day activities, but no much competition in automobile sector. Not a competition, people are not actually much going through that automobile sector, wherein actually I took that advantage, and I came up with a product for the for a car, wherein actually once you insert my IoT device in the car, it tells you what's the problem in your car. So, and at the same time, the car will let you know, actually the car always connects with your mobile phone, and say for example if there is any service need, your mobile will alert you. Say for example if there is any oil change required, your mobile will alert you. So that sort of IoT technology we developed in our company, and we are taking it to the market, and actually some of the companies are using our technology. And the later part, actually when I see in automobile sector, what is the updated one, what is the updations we can do. So wherein actually when I see that updations, so EV sector, wherein actually people are talking about the EV vehicles, but they are not ready to buy because there is no infra. So when there is no infra, why don't we look into that infra? So when it comes to first, infra means charging station. So why don't we come into that space, and why don't we build our own chargers, and why don't we build an ecosystem to connect all the infra companies to that ecosystem, and why don't we provide a solution to the user to charge their cars. So this motivated me to develop a particular ecosystem, and to develop a particular chargers. So, and to work with the OEMs also. We are actually much we are providing some sort of ecosystems, and we are providing some sort of hardware, and we are providing some sort of software solutions for the users. So this is what we motivated ourselves on the automobile sector.
I get it. I mean, and I can see when people say that, or you say you're a very technical person. It comes over loud and clear. You
Yeah.
are that in depth, Java type person. I can script it. I can see the problem out there. I can fix it. So you are if you like, a Mr. Fix It arena. But you in many respects, what comes over you, you're a bit of an evangelist as well, because someone has to start to push the envelope.
Yep.
And what I'm getting from you is you are that classic entrepreneur. I'm not going to wait for anyone else to do it. I can do it, and I'm going to go and do it. And the interesting thing is, if there's a market for it, then we'll make it work.
Yes.
And that is absolutely key. So anyone listening to hear what you do as a person and what drives you on is now understanding why you're doing it. You're seeing an opportunity. But the interesting thing is that opportunity is a problem for lots of people, and they'll shy away from it.
Yep.
But we need innovation people like you. You know, we need technical people like you, but equally, we need other people that can convey our message
Yes.
elsewhere.
Yep.
And part of what we're doing today is trying to convey that message. So
Yep.
I talk a lot about being in collaboration with other people. I mean, CK was very generous at the beginning, so I had 45 years of international experience. That would probably
Oh.
make me nearer 70 than 60. But my background has been oil and gas.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's the antithesis of what you're talking about. You're talking about clean energy, and I'm talking about very dirty energy. Okay,
Yes.
but the point is, we needed oil and gas to
Yes.
be where we are today.
Of
And
course.
one of the important parts about oil and gas that not many people understand
Mm-hmm.
is that they understand that it's very expensive, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because that's why we pay the ridiculous prices at the pump for our heating oil, you know, heat our houses, etc. But what they don't understand is what makes the industry tick, what makes the industry be as economical. I use the word not lightly, very strongly. What makes it cheap to run? And a lot of people will say, Neville, what are you talking about? You know, oil's very expensive. The point is, it would be a lot more expensive if we didn't work smartly.
Mm-hmm.
So if we didn't work collaboratively. And one thing that I know you're doing, so we're going to talk a little bit about that now, is collaborating with other people. And I
Mm-hmm.
know how difficult that is, because to collaborate means you need to look for a win-win. And not
Yes.
many people, I look at a win-win on a scale of 10.
Mm.
So you start with 10 and I start with 10, and we go in together, we have a discussion. And after a while, I've only got 2 ticks, but you might have 5 ticks. To me, that's a win-win, because at least I've got 2.
Yes.
But other people say, no, you've got 5, I want 5. If you've got 5, I want 5. Now that isn't a collaboration. You know, that's
Yeah.
competition.
Yes. True. 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 Very true.
And coming from, you know, our respective backgrounds,
Mm-hmm.
we always want to win, don't we? You're an entrepreneur, you want to win, don't you? You don't like losing. No, you want to win every time. I mean, we all want to win every time. But the key
Yes.
thing is we need to be in that collaborative arena where a win-win might be you score 5, I score 2. That's a win because I've got 2. Equally, if you score 2 and I score 5, that's a win as well.
True.
Yeah. So just tell me just a little snippet about a collaboration that you're doing currently. And I believe it's in the scooter world, isn't it? In the mini bikes or whatever you call it.
Uh, can you elaborate a little more again?
But when you're collaborating with other B2B, B2C type businesses,
yes.
and, you know, rather than I don't want to give away, you know, the crown jewels of the organisation or any confidential conversation you've got going. But can you
Yes.
give a very simple example of a collaboration that started and it's working and it's succeeding and you're both winning?
Got it. Now you see, like earlier when when I started my conversation with you. So earlier I told you I'm providing a hardware also. See, when it comes to hardware, actually, a lot of work is involved in this. So the thing is, when I feel actually to start, manufacturing my chargers. I wanted to start manufacture some of my own chargers also with my own brand. So and wanted to white label the charger. So according to a client requirement, that's what I thought to do. But when I see in the market, as you said, actually, instead of reinventing the all wheel, actually, I collaborated. I collaborated with, some Korean companies and some Indian companies and some Chinese companies. and make it happen for my client. It's something like where I am working as a B2B and I'm working as a B2C also. So I'm working for a customers to get the technology from a different places according to their budget. Say they say, okay, I have a low budget, we have a solution, and we have a, if they have a high budget, we have a solution. And we worked in a collaborative manner with the other vendors, we can say, or companies, we can say, or the people who are there in a complete competitiveness in the market. Okay, so we collaborated with them. So we never feel that okay, this guy is a competitor to us. Actually, we are into software solution. The software can integrate with any sort of hardware. When we say, okay, so we never feel that okay, this guy is a competitor to us, and we never look at the person, he's a competitor guy. As you said, actually, win a if there is an opportunity of getting 10 things, so you take two things, and I'll take according to our availability. So you take 10, and I'll take 2, or you just share it among us, and let us share it to somebody. So in this fashion, actually, we work with many companies collaborative fashion, and we invited people to come and join with us. Actually, right now we are also working towards to come up with EV vehicles also, which is in a three-wheel sector, and which is in a two-wheeler sector. So we collaborated with a few companies in India itself to come up with three-wheelers and two-wheelers. So when it comes to three-wheelers, actually we are introducing these three-wheelers on our ecosystem to rural areas, wherein actually we are providing some sort of e-autos for our rural areas. And we are providing, we are collaborated with another company and providing two-wheeler scooties, e-scooties for state tourism development to reduce some pollution in tourism places. So when it comes to collaboration, actually it is a good idea to collaborate with somebody who has a good knowledge or good ecosystems with them. So we are pretty much interested to do that, and we are doing that. And we are also ready to if anybody providing some sort of technology, we are ready to collaborate with them. And if anybody wants to collaborate with us, we are open to do that also. We are open to work with them, and we are open to accept their technologies. So any sort of JV, joint ventures, any sort of collaborations, we are ready. We are ready. So only thing, just what we wanted to provide, our single point solution aim is just work with anybody and provide a quality solutions to customers and users, and customers and business people. So like this, we are already doing that, and in future also we are pretty much open to do that. So this is what my idea, my opinion on a collaboration.
I'd like to add a few points here, Neville.
Yeah, go ahead.
See, the electric vehicle is a very vast subject. It's an open opportunity for everyone whoever wants to enter this area, because the electric vehicles are slated to replace the petroleum-based or gas-based vehicles, especially the vehicles which are running on the road. So I'm not talking about the heavy machinery, but I think the individual vehicles which are running on the road can be easily replaced by electric vehicle. Why? Because electric vehicle and the petrol vehicles behave in the same manner. If you fill the tank in your petrol vehicle, it will last for another 300 miles. Same is the case with electric vehicle. One charge will take you to 300 miles. After that, you have to either refill or you have to recharge. So the effect is the same. Second point is the electric vehicle innovation has reached the peak, because it has nothing. It has a body, it has an electric motor. And whatever research required to run an electric vehicle and charge quickly is in the area of battery, not in the vehicle. So I think there is an open field with regard to the charge solution. And that is why Single Point as a company is rolling out the, or rather focusing on the charge solutions. Because if there is no charge, there are no vehicles. So I think that is something that I wanted to bring from my side, that the innovation in electric vehicle is not actually in the electric vehicle, it's in the charge solution.
So basically, I wanted to add a word. Actually, it is a EV infra. We call it as an infra. Actually, when there is an infra, then the vehicles will run on the road. So we call it as an infra. So single point solution is almost concentrating more on infra, creating an infra for EV vehicles. That's what single point solution is trying to work with the states and even central government also to central government is taking a big initiations towards this EV infra. By 2022, actually, they wanted to show a good quality infra for EV vehicles, so that people actually, users or public can go and buy the EV vehicles in a two-wheeler or three-wheeler or four-wheelers. So that's what we are, as a single point solution, we are creating some ecosystem around to this EV space.
And it's important, and it's good you jumped in there, CK, because let's get back to where we started here. We need to be pitch perfect. When we're promoting our organizations, we need to be pitch perfect. So in many respects, it's how, and I don't like the word pitch, as you know, because we should stop pitching, but we need to be listening to what the audience was. And just as we wrap up here, but Satya, you said it right in early on in your story, you listened to what the problems were of your client.
Yes. Yes.
If we can focus on those problems.
Yes.
And we can be collaborative in the fact that you may not have the solution.
Yes.
But you have a component of those solutions.
Yes.
But you know other people that can help fulfill the solution.
Yes.
Through a collaborative way, not a competitive, but a collaborative way, then we all win.
Yes.
And I think what you've demonstrated today, so thank you in advance, is that not only do you say you're open for collaboration,
yes.
but I truly believe you. In this short conversation, I truly believe you. And that is part of what we're trying to do here. Get people to understand who you are, why you do what you do, trust you, get to know you, and then guess what? They'll come back and ask you for your opinion on things you've never even thought of, because you become that, trusted partner.
Yes.
In a world of confusion and a world of competition, believe you me, that is very rare. So thank you for your contribution today. I wish you all the success in the world. I know we'll keep in touch going forward. This is not the end of our discussion, I'm sure. And thanks, CK, for setting this up as part of our roundtable approach. And just a big thank you to the two of you for those smiley faces, because without smiley faces, nothing is going to happen.
Yes.
Thank you, Neville, and thank you, Satya. Really appreciate you coming to the Top Brass Roundtable. And we have come to the end of this session today, but we will definitely find another opportunity very soon in future, invite you both to discuss on a new technical subject. And also, as you said, Neville, try to make a pitch by listening.
Thank you very much, CK. And nice meeting you, Navel. So see you again.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
This video is sponsored by Performance Works International from UK, and more about them in a bit. However, if you want to go to know the details of Performance Works International, you can use the link in the description below. Have you ever wondered that why nowadays we don't get charger in our new mobile phones whenever we buy a new mobile phones? This is what we will discuss in our program today. My name is Chandrakant, and you are at Akulmach Live channel. So charger is such a basic thing that we expect after spending so much money to buy the best mobile phone in the market. We expect a charger to be available, and also the headphone for music and for making calls, etc., to be part of the standard accessory of our new mobile phone. And especially the upmarket mobile manufacturers have decided that they will not be supplying their mobile phones with any standard chargers. The reason they have given is that it is because to reduce the carbon footprint of their organization, which is valid. I think if I have to analyze this in totality, it appears to be a good move for the organization because they can reduce the amount of packaging required to ship out expensive mobile phones. But as a consumer, you expect that when you order a new mobile phone, you don't want to wait for the charger to come, because if the charger is not available immediately with your mobile phone, what is that you're going to do without a charger? You need to charge your mobile phone anyway, and you've already spent so much money buying this mobile phone. So I think the expectation of consumer is to get all the standard accessories along with your new mobile phone, and this is exactly what they have gone against. And I think it's a good move because from the organization perspective, they can actually give freedom to the consumer to buy that type of charger based on his or her need. They can actually go out and they are free to buy the type of charger they want to buy for their own requirement. But at the same time, when they actually buy their charger, and we want to evaluate this decision of these companies, I think as an organization, they may be able to reduce their carbon footprint, but overall, actually, it is increasing more burden on the mother nature. I'll exactly tell you why. When you get a new mobile phone, you expect that it comes with a charger, but now it is not coming with a charger. Especially the top three mobile brands, they have decided that they will not be shipping any charger along with their mobile devices. So when you want to order, obviously you will like to order along with a charger. And when you actually order a charger, it will come with its own packaging and own shipment. And as you know that if you get the Amazon type of delivery mechanism, they will further repack the whole thing in a pillow pack, then put it in a cardboard and then give it out to you. So this small pack will look like now this big. So because of this, now you, instead of ordering one pack, and this charger would have neatly fitted inside the mobile box itself. For all these years it is happening, for last 25 years we have been getting these mobile devices along with our chargers, but now suddenly last year they decided that they will not be shipping the charger. So now, because the charger is not there, the overall experience of consumer is much bigger, and overall experience or the threat on the mother nature is much bigger now. At the same time, if you look at the type of charger people use, it's basically dependent predominantly on the basis of the kind of devices they have. The other problem with this is that there is no standardization of the charge points, the chargers which are required for charging your mobile devices. And it is only few days back in month of October, that September, that the EU decided to standardize on USB charger across the EU. So there is no standardization. So if you buy multiple devices from multiple manufacturers, you actually end up buying
different chargers or having different chargers today for all of these devices. So there is no device, no charger standard for all of them. So you end up buying a charger with multiple cables so that you can charge your multiple devices. So that is again a big problem. So by having, I mean, as an organization, when you're trying to save the carbon footprint of your organization, you have to look at what is technically more viable, what is the overall impact. So in my opinion, the overall impact is can be reduced by adapting more standardized practices. That means standardizing your charge points so that any cable can be used to charge your iPhone, but iPhone has been having lightning port and all that, which is quite good quality, but it is not standard. So if you have Samsung device or some other device, first of all, you need to have different chargers for these devices. So I think in order to save really the carbon footprint of their technology, they should actually standardize on the USB port so that when they are not shipping chargers, they are saying that, hey, charge our devices using any charger of this rating or etc., whatever that is, 12 volts or whatever. So if you have a Samsung charger, you should be able to charge your iPhone device. So I think that is required. The other thing is that most of the people are going to go for wireless chargers. And when you actually go for wireless chargers, the device has to be kept on the pad of the wireless charging device. Like this one, as you can see behind me, this is a charger which is charging wirelessly. There is no cable required. So some of the consumers will have freedom to buy a wireless charger of their choice. However, I have to point out that the wireless chargers are not really the most efficient charging mechanisms, because it's based on induction. That means the electric current has to induce induce the current using electromagnetism into your mobile devices, which will be then converted into electricity, which will charge the battery which is on board on the mobile. So when you're doing all this conversion and all that, there is a little wastage of electricity, and as a result, this wastage will result into heat. And as an estimate, about 30% of electricity is wasted in the wireless chargers. So now what is happening is you're not giving charger, which is much more efficient, the usual cable charger. And then people are buying wireless chargers because it's much more convenient. But then it is actually increasing the amount of electricity required to charge the device. So it's not really helping. So yeah, I think overall you will be able to reduce your box size, and as an organization you will be able to reduce the amount of carbon footprint for your organization. But overall it does not have any impact. In fact, by taking this decision, you're increasing the overall carbon footprint of people buying multiple devices. There is one more reason for doing this. The reason is that there is 30% more mobile devices the organizations can pack in one particular stack. So if one stack contains 100 mobile devices, now with reduced box size, because there is no charger now and there are no accessories, they can pack 30% more mobile devices. So they are actually doing a lot of cost saving, these small incremental cost savings, and thus they are saying that as an organization we are reducing our carbon footprint. So I think this is the logic behind not giving charger, especially in the upper market segment where the consumer is actually paying more to buy these good quality devices. There are no charger available. So I think this is something which I thought I will bring it to you. And before I go, I like to say big thanks to Performance Works International for sponsoring this video. Now I will end by giving a word from them.
This video is sponsored by Performance Works International.
Are you ready for the challenges facing the modern workplace? Recent events have taught us the importance of transformation. Businesses now face a perfect storm of challenges. No business is too big to fail, and many are too slow to succeed. Our workforce is changing fast. We're entering a new age of empowerment, and everyone can contribute. The Inner CEO reveals how we can all play a part in making leading at all levels a reality. Written by Jeremy Blaine, an expert on business transformation and growth, it provides a roadmap to help everyone unleash their inner CEO and contribute beyond their job role, whatever their level. Traditionally, strategy has been owned by the few. Now it's time for the many to contribute. Leadership must come from a broader base. Everyone has the potential to step up and make things happen. It's a new model of collective and collaborative leadership which unleashes the power of people, enabled by appropriate technology and a supportive management structure. The book provides a roadmap for a bold new age of empowerment. Supported by a range of resources, the book provides a toolkit to help anyone unleash their inner CEO. Organisation health, development and growth is owned at all levels. Are you ready to unleash the inner CEO?
Hello friends, this is Chandrakant from Akulmach Technologies and welcome to Legal Matters. Today we would like to discuss about the right of freedom to protest, and in the wake of what happened on 26th of January 2021. To discuss this further, let me invite my friend, the very popular advocate, Mr. Jeet Bhatt from Ahmedabad.
Thank you, Chandrakant, for having me and for this discussion. I'm looking forward for this discussion.
Yes, Jeet, in fact, the horrific pictures of January 26th of 2021, when the flag of India was meddled with and the national monuments were desecrated. While the protesters have the right to protest, but what was really going on from the legal standpoint? You can tell our viewers a little bit more details about the freedom to protest and what is the acceptable freedom to protest.
Yes, absolutely, Chandrakant. With respect to what happened on 26th of January, we saw several violent instances where the police as well as the protesters clashed and there were injuries on both sides. So this raises some important questions on what are the rights or the constitutional fundamental rights of a citizen with respect to protest, and also the fundamental rights of citizen for a proper and public order, because it is very important that protest should not turn violent, and therefore there are reasonable restrictions imposed upon this right to protest and raise objections with regards to the stand or action of the government. So first of all, right to protest is a very important right under the democratic setup, and it is guaranteed under the Constitution under Article 19, 1A, B, and C. So there is no such word used as protest, but what the Constitution provides is the freedom of speech and expression, also the freedom to assemble peacefully without arms, and also to form unions. So these three fundamental rights of citizens construed together give a very important right to the citizens to protest, raise objections, resist, or even show its dissent of any action of the government. So therefore, in a democracy, as you are aware, there are several voices. And India being such a pluralistic country, every part will have its own concerns, issues, and every citizen is given this right to protest and voice its opinion. So basically, it's a very important democratic and civil right provided under the Constitution, under Article 19, 1A, B, and C. But also, Article 19 is subject to certain restrictions which are provided under the Constitution and Article 19.2 to 19.6. So it provides and gives the power to the state to enact a law which reasonably restricts these fundamental rights of the citizens. So, with respect to what restriction it provides is that uh, in order to secure public order, in order to secure the security of the state can impose certain restrictions which have to be reasonable upon these fundamental rights of the citizens. So, therefore, we see that the Code of Criminal Procedure, the Indian Penal Code, the Police Act provides for powers and mechanisms and procedures where such rights of persons who are protesting or expressing or assembling or even forming union can be restricted, and the proper mechanism is provided. With respect to what happened on 26th January, we see violent protests happening. Also, the public property was damaged. So this raises an issue as to what extent these fundamental rights are given to citizens. But with respect to that, there are several decisions of the Supreme Court on this issue which I want to highlight. The first, which I want to point out, is the judgment of Ramlila Maidan incident versus Home Secretary Union of India, wherein the Supreme Court recognizes this right to peacefully and lawfully assemble together and to freely express oneself, coupled with the right to know about such expression, which is guaranteed under Article 19 of the Constitution. Such a right is inherent and is also coupled with the right to freedom and liberty, which have been conferred under Article 21. In the Ramlila Maidan incident, what had happened is in the night when the protesters were protesting and sleeping, the police officers had tried to disperse them and done a lathi charge and injured several protesters. With respect to that incident, the Supreme Court said that no, this is not fair and this is not proper mechanism of restricting somebody's fundamental right. The Supreme Court also recognized that right to sleep, peacefully sleep, is also a fundamental right under Article 21. And therefore, you cannot disturb someone in such odd hours and do a lathi charge and use force and disperse the crowd, because they are exercising their fundamental right to sleep, and also they are exercising their right to protest. So police, that was an excessive force of police, and which the Supreme Court said was not proper and constitutional. And even the use of force should be within the bounds of the Constitution. So there are restrictions upon the state in order to use force. But with respect to the right of the protesters, it is also clear that the fundamental rights are not just of the protesters, but also of the residents of the city. The people living in the city also have the right to have a proper public order, public decorum, morality, decency. And the rights of others cannot be trampled only because the protesters want to protest on the streets. So therefore, the Supreme Court in the matter uh, in the judgment has held that the protesters should be allocated a proper place to protest, and the protest should happen peacefully. And in that place, allocated place should be such that that should not disturb the proper flow of traffic, proper flow of movement of other citizens. So therefore, considering these restrictions, the right to protest can be continued. But on 26th January, we saw that the protest had were disrupted. There was use of excessive force by the protesters. They had assembled by having arms. They did transgress the fundamental rights that they had, and they demolished the properties. They desecrated the public property. So therefore, we saw that it went out of hand. And in exercising their fundamental rights, they overstepped it and violated the fundamental rights of others, because Constitution clearly demarcates and provides that my right ends when your right begins, and your right ends when my right begins. So this demarcation is Constitution and has to be respected by every citizen. In fact, it is a fundamental duty of every citizen to maintain peace and order. So therefore, the protesters also not just transgressed their fundamental rights, but also violated the fundamental duties which are enshrined under the Constitution. And though everybody does talk about the fundamental rights, but very few talk about what are the fundamental duties that citizens have in this country. And if we maintain the fundamental duties, we comply with them and we follow them properly, then I don't think this incident could have happened. So now the next step which comes is that how to fix accountability and whom to put the blame and what the authorities must do in order to ensure that the damage that has been done uh, can be properly compensated. So with respect to that, not just there are the prosecution can be initiated against the riot. Provision provides that there can be vicarious liability fixed on all members of the unlawful assembly. But also there should be provision which provides for compensation and damages from the leaders who have permitted such violent protests to happen. That is what the government should aim and do with regards to fixing accountability and also seeking those who have been held liable.
So, Jeet, thank you very much for explaining this in a legal perspective, and also very clearly you have defined what is the right and what is the duty for all citizens to follow, and every citizen is equal in India. So, while this is well known, and especially all of us study this very early in our schools, I think this is taught to us on in the civics chapters in fourth or fifth standard. So, when we are like 6 years old, from that time, all Indians are aware of rights and duties. Uh, but at the same time, I'm very surprised to see the leadership of these protests are asking people to violate the legal norms, the constitutional duties, right from the beginning. What do you have to talk about those things? These people who are educated, very well off, they have the crores of property to their name, and yet they are asking these poor farmers to violate the laws which are laid down as a constitution in the constitution for all citizens to follow. Like to know your opinion.
Yes, Chandrakant. So we see that the leaders uh, don't lead their members in order to ensure that a peaceful protest continues, and they want to use force. But that is not how a protest should happen in a civilized and a advanced democratic country like India. We saw protest in Hong Kong for almost a period of more than a year, uh, but it did not result into damage to public property to such an extent. The peaceful protest, in fact, even the Supreme Court, while granting stay of these farm laws, also appreciated and recognized that the protests that were happening till date were going on very peacefully. So even in fact, what has happened is on 26th, they themselves have turned this peaceful protest into a violent protest. And violence is not an answer in any manner that can lead to a solution. So they should have shown some restraint. The leaders should have shown restraint and assured that the protest should run peacefully. In fact, what I am aware of is that the police authorities, while granting permission to protest, and also there was a condition that it should not result into public disorder. But they have violated the terms and conditions of the permission granted and transgressed them. So therefore, yes, so the leaders are to be blamed and the accountability has to be fixed and proper compensation should also be, orders should be passed to recover the amount of damage that has been done from these leaders.
Yes, and again, surprising thing, Jeet, is that they still continue to violate the law. They have not vacated the street, even though the government of India had provided them a separate area where they can continue their protest. They have refused that. They have refused the advices given by the Supreme Court of India. They have also refused the government initiative. 11 talks have happened. And now, after committing such a big crime, which is our national day. It's a pillar of our democracy, which we celebrate on Republic Day. They spoiled the name of India. They brought the Indian fame down, and they still continues to violate the law. What do you have to say about that?
Well, Republic Day has its own significance because on 25th, 26th of January, the Constitution of India came into exist. So that day we became a republic democratic country, and that no citizen should ever forget. In fact, the Constitution, which provides them this right to protest, also provides certain safeguards and restrictions upon this right to protest, which the protesters should not forget. Also, with regards to fundamental duties, which is a chapter incorporated under the Constitution, which provides that it is the duty of every citizen of India to safeguard public property and to abjure violence. So this is a fundamental duty prescribed under this constitution. And despite this constitution coming into force on 26th January, such protest violating not just the fundamental rights of others, but also not respecting the fundamental duties of every citizen was something which was not called for and should have been avoided.
So going forward from here, what is the way out for the protesting leaders, because they have violated all norms of a democratic setup? What they should be doing? I'm not saying that they should stop their protest. They should continue. But what is the remedy for them to correct what they have been doing for last 2 months?
Well, the petitions are already pending before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has constituted a committee. So therefore, they have to wait for the committee to give its report and thereafter the Supreme Court to hear the matters. They may protest peacefully. There is no restriction on that. But then now with the matter being pending before the Supreme Court, they must respect the Supreme Court and wait for the decision to come from the top court of this country.
Fine, Jeet. I think you have very well explained the whole scenario for the benefit of our viewers. And I'm sure most of us are already aware that some blunders have been committed. And I think people who are doing all this needs to correct. I think the message should be loud and clear that they should stop violating the law and set an example for all of us. So thank you very much, Jeet, for coming to the show today. And we will catch up again next week with something even more interesting.
Thank you very much, Janak.
Bye-bye.
Hello, friends. I'm Kanchan from Akulmach Technologies, and you are welcome to our show, The Great Kings of India. And today, yet another time, we are discussing a great king of India today with Mrs. Binda Paranjpe. Binda Paranjpe is a prominent historian, and she's working as a professor at Banaras Hindu University. So, welcome to the show, Binda ji. How are you today?
Thank you very much for your warm welcome. I'm fine.
Yes, I just want to really give a cue to our viewers. The one who was a scholar, painter, architect, musician. He was born to a great father, and he was also defeated Kala Bhras and re-established the Pallav dynasty. Okay, any guesses? Okay, yet another guess that he is the one under his era, the rock cutout temple of Mahabalipuram was being constructed, and the one who defeated Pulkeshin II of Chalukya dynasty, and he is none other than Mahendravarman I. To discuss about this popular king, we are inviting Bindaji. So Bindaji, we would like to hear about this king.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to talk about Mahendravarman, not just because he was a great ruler, but something very unique about him. And he became the first person to initiate a special kind of architectural lineage of the Pallavas. So I really like this king because of that. He was ruling in the first quarter of the 7th century. Didn't get a very long time to rule, but he did something which still remains for us to experience and see. So he's one of my favorite rulers.
Yes, so I just want to hear about his conquest, his empire, the way he ruled administration. Because I also heard in the history books he has a prominent name.
This is a time which is a very important segment in history of southern India. Some historians have liked to call it that this is a period of, I would like to put it into quotes, Aryanization. And by that, what do they mean is that the culture, mainly from the northern side of India, which in ancient times was called Aryavarta, or we can say that this was the Indo-Gangetic Plain, or also the further area of North India, that was gradually spreading towards southern parts of India. And South Indian culture and this culture coming from the north, they were gradually commingling, and a new synthesized culture was emerging in southern part of India. So Pallavas, many historians would like to attribute this process to the Pallavas. They are the ones who are responsible for that. And if we go into the details of the achievements of various Pallava kings, we can see that to some extent this view is genuine, because a lot of things which are very typical of North are now seen as a part of important cultural artifacts of southern part of India also. Like in case of Mahendravarman, he was in conflict with the Badami Chalukyas. And the Badami Chalukyas are from the Deccan side of southern India. So Badami Chalukyas were trying to push their way into further areas of southern peninsula. And Pulakeshin II, who was the contemporary of Mahendravarman I, claims that he forced Mahendravarman to go and hide into the inner fort of his capital city, Kanchipuram, that is present Kanchipuram. And after doing so, Pulakeshin II marched against the rulers who are further down south, like the Cheras, the Pandyas, the Keralas, all that. So Mahendravarman, did he really have sufficient army to fight against the Pulakeshin's army? Because Pulakeshin is supposed to be having a huge army. And that's why probably Mahendravarman had to accept a little setback. And subsequently, probably, he at least could regain a part of that territory which was conquered by Pulakeshin II. But we can't call it as a great achievement to the credit of Mahendravarman.
Okay, so what I feel is that the great achievement is art and architecture at that era. Because Mahabalipuram, the great monument, is being so fabulous and so marvelous to really look around. And of course, I heard that Kanchipuram temple is also being built by this particular king. So I'd like to hear about his achievement in this sphere.
Right. Now, let's try to understand it from the perspective of a ruler. If he's unable to give a strong resistance to the mighty army of the Badami Chalukyas, it would have been a choice by this ruler to strengthen further his army and rejuvenate the attacks. Or on the second thought, probably what he could have done is paid more attention into improving the quality of life of his subjects. And it appears that Mahendravarman took this wise decision that if militarily he cannot probably compete with the Badami Chalukyas, and he also is not probably very strategic in having alliances with his neighbors and have a combined force to resist the onslaught of the Badami Chalukyas, he paid more attention towards cultural sophistication within his limited kingdom. And that something I feel that the military achievements are always short-lived, because like in case of Pallavas also it happened that Pulakeshin II's victory was short-lived because Mahendravarman's son avenged the defeat at the hands of Badami Chalukyas of the Pallavas and almost returned back in the same coin to the Badami Chalukyas. Then subsequently we saw the Badami Chalukyan ruler Vikramaditya II, about whom we have already talked. He again rebuked, and I feel that these conquests and campaigns, their achievements are short-lived, but the achievements in the field of religion, culture, literature, art and architecture, all this has got more lasting impact. And this is the wisdom of that king, that he paid attention in improving the faculties which are so enriching in human life. And in that sense, I think Mahendravarman can be credited of being a very intelligent king. Now, what all did he do? We have got a lot of rocket cave temples which are attributed to the period of Mahendravarman first. And that is rightly so, because we have inscriptional evidence in those rocket caves. Very interestingly, one of the inscription reads that this is a king who created temples without brick, wood, or any kind of building material, binding material. Now, what do they mean by this? These are the rocket monuments, monolithic monuments. So what happens is that we have got a mass of solid rock. You remove the portions which are considered unnecessary so that the shape of a particular structure remains. And it has all those components which are required, maybe at that time, the kind of structures which were there. So it has got pillars, and these pillars become almost like a stylistic mark of the Mahendravarman's time. So the pillars are there, and some sculptural decoration is there. Paintings are there, which is very, very important. And also, as I said, to put it all into a historical context and give a more reliable date for it, we have got inscriptions. So all that put together, then we can see that this king was creating a great treasure of history. I don't mean to say that he was creating it as a treasure of history, but today when we look back, we certainly have that as a treasure of history. Now, what is very important here to note is that was it something new that was happening in southern part of India? If it was not so, why this kind of a description that the king is getting a temple made without brick and wood and metal and binding material? Now that is something which gives us a clue that probably this king, who was introduced to these kinds of rocket monuments from the northern side of India maybe, or from at least the Deccan region, because we have started seeing the caves in the Deccan region right in the Satavahana period. So from that tradition is brought to the southern part of India, and Mahendravarman must have got impressed with it, and he encouraged different artists to have these cave temples in his territory. Interestingly, we also get in the inscriptions the names sometimes of the architects who designed these what are, we can call them as pillared halls or mandapas, and they're dedicated to different gods. So all this, if we see in the time of 7th century, the beginning of 7th century in southern India, this was something new and novel that was happening in that region. Now, does that mean that he didn't go for structural monuments? He must have. But as you know, that these things, they keep on getting rejuvenated in different periods. Sometimes they're enlarged, sometimes they're completely gone. So what remains for posterity is something which is more solid, something which can take the shocks of time. So these cave temples are those kinds of monuments which have sustained the shocks of time, and they have reached right up to us in 21st century. So that is something very unique about this ruler. He started that tradition, and then of course the subsequent Pallava rulers continued with that.
Okay, actually, while going through his profile, I have also come to know that he was earlier practicing Jainism, but later on he adopted Hinduism. So that is kind of unique combination, because in history we see a lot of Hindu kings, they have adopted either Buddhism or they have adopted Jainism, and sometimes there are kings who have the like Satvana, who are staunch Hindu rulers. So this is something very unique when we talk about Mahendra Varman of Pallava. So is there any story behind it, or it's just like...
There is one literary text, Periya Puran, and it talks about one Shaiva ascetic upper. Earlier, when Mahendravarman was a follower of Jainism, and this Jainism that talks about its origin right into the Magad region of present Bihar. So this Patliputra monastery tradition of the Jains. Because he was a staunch Jain, he forced this Shaiva ascetic to go through many ordeals. In a way, he wanted to see the merit of the spiritual achievement of the Shaiva ascetic. And the Shaiva ascetic proved to that test. And then Mahendravarman realized that probably this is something which I would like to follow. This is something which is more challenging than the system that I am following. This was like a transformation of a person. And he talks about it. His own personal testimony of it is available to us from the inscriptions. Now, this reminds us of Ashok, the famous Mauryan king, how he realized the transformation from within, and from being a follower of some other faith, maybe Shaivite, we do not know for certain, for good, but he became the follower of Buddhism. So how these rulers, they were honest before his probably their own subjects, and they're telling about their own transformations. But more than that, this person being a king, it means that there must have been some tension in the society amongst the followers of different faiths, and which faith the king patronizes, king follows, that must have made a lot of difference to the subjects. So the tension that was there between the followers of Jainism, followers of certain parts of the Shaivite tradition also, like the Kapalikas as they are called. The Kapalikas means the ones who use human skull as their either begging bowl, or they use it as a pot through which they can drink. So very weird kind of practices that they have. They reside in the crematoriums and things like that. And Mahendravarman, when he realized the truth of true following of Jainism, Shaivism, he's supposed to have composed a satire. The title of the satire is Matta Vilasa Prahasana. Prahasana means a satirical play. And in that play, he shows that how these certain sects, the Jains, certain variety of Buddhists, certain weird sects like Kapalikas, they practice things which are not really considered good for the moral standing and strength of the society. So he makes the people realize that the essence of true religion is not into these kinds of very absurd kind of practices. And I think this was a role of a king of educating his subjects into understanding the nuances of religious followings. So it's very interesting to see the drama that he has written, the satirical play that he has written.
Okay, so that means he is more concerned about the ideology of a religion and the goodness of that religion, which gives way to people to practice rather than practicing different, as we say, karma kand of that particular religion. Now, I would like to ask you, Professor Binda, is that what is the impact? Although I can see when we talk about the architecture of that era, and when we talk about making temples big cave-like monuments, I think the employment is not an issue because people are employed; they are being paid. So, what kind of society must have dwelt at that time? And what is the impact of this small era on our Indian culture?
Yeah. If we try to see how these activities must have been supported or the source of income for the state and people by and large, this is a time when new lands were brought under cultivation. So gradually, probably the state revenue was increasing because Mahendravarman doesn't seem to be having much military achievements to his credit. So the war booty or loot probably was not the main source of income for his state. And also, this was a time when, as I earlier had mentioned in one of my other talks, that India gradually had started developing more contacts with Southeast Asia. So that trade was coming, and that was more in favor of India also. And Mahendravarman seemed to have facilitated the trade activity by giving them the standard coins, because we get two types of coins of Mahendravarman. Now, having the coined economy in itself is a good development in the economic side of it. What are the other things that we think that the king has really placed before his subjects as ideals, as the right conduct of life that should be followed? That appears to be being more thoughtful about religion, philosophy, co-living of different faiths, because he is supposed to have dedicated those, as I said, cave temples to different faiths. Like there are Vaishnavites also and there are Shaivites also. So some kind of a peaceful co-living appears to be one of the principles that he was setting as an ideal, as an example before his subjects. Coming to his special attention paid to fine arts, he's supposed to have written texts on Sangeet, as it is called in Indian tradition, but that also includes dance. So dance, music. We have got one unique inscription of Mahendravarman's time, and that is at Kudiyamiyamal inscription, where we have reference to notes of music, swaras as they're called. And there is some kind of a reference which is interpreted by music experts differently. A reference to 7 and 8. So many musicians, they feel that these are talking about the string instruments having 7 strings and 8 strings. But what is interesting is that different compositions of the notes, they are there in this inscription. Now, if we reconstruct history of Indian classical music, we have got Bharata, the great composer of um, Indian art. We have got that famous Bharata's Natya Shastra, which has got all music, dance, percussion, and everything. And then we have got about 11th century onwards, some texts like Sangeet Ratnakar coming in Indian music tradition. Now, Mahendravarman's inscription in the early part of 7th century is something like we can see is in between. Like, the knowledge which could be probably locked into the manuscripts is made available to people at a common place by way of inscriptions. And also, one of the titles of Mahendravarman is Sankirna Jati. That also has been interpreted by different people differently, different musicians. But either it is for certain composition of tal, the rhythm, or it could be certain composition of notes, because Sankirna makes us feel that it is not something which is commonly known compositions. So he's supposed to have made some kind of combination of different commonly known uh, either notes or rhythms, and he created a new one. So a real involved person into the music tradition. He's supposed to have promoted dance, because we have got Nataraja painting in one of his caves. And Bharatnatyam was a famous dance that started evolving during this period. Another thing about this particular ruler is very good quality Sanskrit. And this is what makes some historians feel that this is a time when South was coming under the influence of Aryan culture. So this king is, you can see, is a amalgam of various kinds of special gifts that he had. A composer, a person well versed in rhythm and music, a well versed person in painting art. He has taken very interesting titles also. Like, he has taken one of the titles as the great builder, the person who has created great vastus, the great constructions. He also has taken a title that Matta Vilas. He just loves to be in blissful enjoyment. He also has taken a title Vichitra Chitta. Now that is you don't see this kind of a title of many other rulers. In fact, this is something very unique. Now, Vichitra Chitra also Chitta means that a person who has got a mind which is always looking for things which are not so common, uncommon, new things. And anything new which is introduced looks Vichitra to begin with, means something which is complex or very unique. And that kind of mind he has. He also considers himself Gunabhara, like, a person who has got many virtues. So kind of, a proud position also he takes. Less he talks about his military achievements, but more he talks about his achievements in different fields of culture.
Yes, there are few kings which are very near to my heart also, and one of them is Mahindra Varman first, because it happened that I visited Mahabalipuram long back, and I was mesmerized by the construction of this particular place. So that is one. And when I am knowing about this king by you and the special features, the kind of personality he was having, that was also really giving insight that we have some great kings we should cherish, we should study about them. It's not only about the military conquest, but also about building, about vastus, about taking care of people, teaching them with the practice of certain making them understand by following some good deeds. So that is a part of a good king. And if we talk about Lalita Det, who as a person I consider is one of the greatest king, is greater than Alexander. We really ask for Alexander all the time, but I feel Lalita Det was one of the greatest kings. Likewise, Mahendra Varun I. He is a great king, and I think we should study more about the art and architecture. And I think that is also demand of the time, because we are in making of real vastus currently in this modern era. So that is one thing. It's so wonderful to talk to you, Bindaji, today, and to know
Just
about
last
this.
one, I want
Yes.
to say that two of the great Sanskrit scholars, one is Dandin, who has written Dashakumar Charit, and one is Bharavi, who has written Kiratarjuni. And Kiratarjuni is a very typically Vaishnav text, great poetry. In fact, the Sanskrit poetic tradition mentions 5 great poets. Kiratarjuni, a poet, the name of the poet is Bharavi, is one of them. And many historians are of the opinion that they were in the court of Mahendravarman. So, as we have seen in case of Kalyani Chalukya ruler Vikramaditya VI, a person who himself has got good knowledge of poetry, drama, music, obviously will be like a refuge for many of these people in the field of fine art and music and literature and poetry and all that. And they would take pride in being in his court. So Mahendravarman first appears to be a patron to all these kinds of achievements.
So as you
So
told that he
equal
also
with his
written music and dance book actually. So these are very refined attribute of any personality. And if it is if these personality belongs to a king, that must be having a great impact on the subject. So it was so wonderful to talk to you, Bindaji, and know about this important king of our history. So we'll be discussing another great king of India in our next episode. Till then, bye bye. Take care.
Bye. Namaste.
Good morning, friends. This is Chandra from Akulmach Technologies. Welcome to Top Brass. This week we will talk about the events which unfolded in our legal system within 14 hours, 14 to 15 hours, during the mayhem and the rioting that was happening in the northeast part of Delhi, soon after Trump left. So this issue is not related to the writing itself. It is related to transfer of Justice Muralidharan. Now let me give a little bit background about this particular judge. He has, or rather Judge Muralidharan has given some of the remarkable judgments which has profound effect on the Indian legal system and Indian society by and large. He is the perfect judge. He has thorough knowledge of the law, and he is also implementing it thoroughly. He is one of the top luminary as far as legal systems are concerned. Justice Muralidharan was transferred after giving a verdict against the Delhi police, and which was then utilized by a lot of political parties, and it was all in the media and so on. So I just want to dissect this particular event so that and give my own analytics on how it happened and what happened during that 14 hours. So when the rioting was going on in northeast part of Delhi, there is a lawyer. In fact, there are activists. I don't want to tell their complete name. I just use their last name only, surnames, which is father and daughter, Mandars. Their surname is Mandars. So the daughter Mandar gave a petition related to the law and order situation in northeast part of Delhi, and there was writing and petition is about safety security of people. Ideally, this such a petition should have gone to Chief Justice of Delhi High Court, but on that day, Justice Patel was on vacation, and then through the legal process of how the cases are distributed in Delhi High Court, it landed in the court of Justice Muralidharan. So he listened to this argument, and there was, since it was a grave situation in east part of Delhi, he decided to hear the case in the middle of the night at his residence. So, which is also a normal practice, that in case of emergencies, the judges open cases in their residence, and they call the staff and also sometimes other judges just in case. So Justice Muralidharan heard the case, opened the case, and gave judgment at 1:30 in the middle of the night. And the judgment is about instructing Delhi police to provide protection to people, which is fair. As far as legal system is concerned, this is absolutely fair. And the follow-up date was given on the same day, which is like 1:30 in the night, at around 12 o'clock, 11:30, 12, when the next hearing was set up. And while this case was being heard, just before that, the father advocate Mandar gave another petition related to the same event. So now there are two petitions related to the arson, mayhem, and rioting which is happening in northeast part of Delhi. And hearing all this from the legal standpoint, the justice gave a order or his verdict saying that Delhi police responsibility is to provide protection to people and ensure that these things are calmed down. While giving these things, this kind of a judgment, the judge also used words like unprofessionalism on account of Delhi police, etc., etc., which is also fair. And from legal standpoint, this is what judge felt at that point in time based on hearing both the parties. And the next date was set up, and that means the judge gave 24 hours to Delhi police, since the situation was so grave at that point in time, that within 24 hours you should submit your response saying that why you have done the work professionally and what is the situation. Now at that point in time, we all know, we have heard the news that Delhi police was really having a lot of tough time. They were losing their officers, police officers. In fact, there was so much news about this attack on police officers with acids and stuff like that. So I don't want to talk too much about the mayhem part of it, but nutshell, I want to say that Delhi police was having a really tough time at that point in time, and on top of it, the legal system is basically sort of putting a lot of pressure on Delhi police to give an appropriate response when they are fighting for their lives. And they have so much pressure that they have to bring the calmness. They were basically announcing in that area that announcing and asking people to calm down and go back to their home. At the same time, they were trying to not use lethal options like firing and stuff like that. They didn't do it, and they were losing their officers. So in such a situation, I think Delhi police really played a very vital role in controlling the whole thing, and they didn't want the morale of their officers come down, because if that would have come down, then situation would have become very, very grave at that point in time. So ensuring that the morale of Delhi police is always kept up, the government of India transferred this judge. Now let me take you back a little bit in time. This judge, Justice Muralidharan, was actually transferred on February 12th, much before all this happened, much before Trump came to India, much before the mayhem started and blah blah. It's like 2 weeks back he was transferred.
The process is that the collegium, which is the group of judges in Supreme Court, they decide which judge will work where, and this collegium had decided based on their pressures and what is needed where. The collegium decided that along with three other judges, Justice Muralidharan will also be transferred. So Justice Muralidharan was transferred to Punjab and Haryana High Court in Chandigarh on February 12th. But in order to exercise this transfer, the government had to notify, and they were taking it easy and so on and so forth, and the consent of judge was also taken before the transfer. So it happened as per the book, as per the legal system, as per the consent given by everyone, which is all the senior judges, the collegium, which is a collective of judges, and also the judge who were transferred. So in this case, there are 4 judges who are transferred, including Justice Muralidharan. All of them have given their consent to get transferred. Now, having said that, when this judgment came where Delhi police was pulled up, the government notified the transfer. That means, as per the process, whatever judgment any judge gives on that day, if he is transferred on that same day, all the judgments are null and void. So I think it was on the part very important activity that government of India had to do in order to keep the morale of Delhi police high, is to just make sure that the judgment which is sort of negative in favor of Delhi police does not affect their morale. So they transferred the judge, because anyway the judge is transferred. All they had to do is basically notify this order. They notified, and consequently all the judgments given by in the middle of the night at 1:30 and also in the afternoon at 2:30 on the same day are null and void. Basically there is no follow-up. This particular judge cannot make a follow-up. Hence, the Delhi police now get at least 6 weeks to respond, not one day. So now everything is fallen in place. Delhi police has enough time. Delhi police has filed a lot of FIRs. They are investigating, and they can submit a proper response. So that is what they needed also. So this is what has happened last week with regard to transfer of Justice Muralidharan. Even though it has been politicized, but I don't think the political parties have any legal standpoint. They can just make noise and they can probably fool some people. But as far as legal system is concerned, as far as the process is concerned, there's nothing wrong in doing this. And Government of India ensured that the morale of police, which was very important at that point in time, is also kept high. So this is my analysis on this issue. I will meet you again tomorrow with some more analytics. Till then, bye-bye. Hello friends, this is Chandrakant from Akulmach Technologies, and welcome to Top Brass. And today is Friday, and on Friday we have a CEO roundtable. So let me invite our distinguished guest today. First is Kanchan Verma. She is the CEO of Akulmach Technologies. She is joining us from India. Welcome.
Hi everybody. How are you all?
We are all fine, Kanchan. Thanks for joining us. And our second guest is Farida Charania. She joins us from Singapore. She is the CEO of Career Zoom, a very well-known HR consulting company. Farida, welcome to Top Brass.
Thank you. I hope everybody had a good week so far, and I'm looking forward to the weekend. So I'm sure all of you are as well.
Yes, we are looking towards the weekend, and in the CEO roundtable, we have a very interesting discussion that we want to have. It's about building rapport with the client, because as all of us know, client is the most important link of doing any business.
So we thought that we will discuss this today, and I'll start with you, Farida. What do you think should be the most important critical aspect of building rapport with a client?
Sure. I'll start with a little anecdote because I think it's so applicable in today's times. Few years ago, I was in the hospital after a surgery. A lot of people came to see me, and I got a lot of gifts. I don't know who bought those gifts, but I remember each and every person who came to see me. So it's same with the clients. When times are good, everybody is calling everybody on a regular basis. But for instance, the situation that we have right now, the sales decisions are being delayed, or they are not actually being taken. And at this point in time, if we in a sales capacity keep in touch with our clients, that is what they are going to remember when times are good. So to just sum up this whole thing, rapport with the client is very, very important, because one, it is not just about making a transaction and moving on, but it's establishing a business and continuing to gain their trust. You as a person might move from one organization to another, but what actually stays with you is the relationship that you build with your client. It's very possible that you will be able to continue doing business with that client if you have built the rapport in the first place. So in my opinion, every interaction with client is an opportunity to build the rapport. And as a salesperson, as the face of the organization, and even in your personal capacity, it is important to take every opportunity to do that.
Very well spoken, Farida. In fact, the rapport building really starts with pronouncing the name correctly. So, a simple thing like having the right pronunciation of the name, and understanding the nuances of each country, each type of names is very important. And I think that will help break the ice. So, Kanchan, what is important for breaking the ice in the journey of building your rapport with a client?
First of all, the major thing is that the attitude towards client has to be positive, because it's not a one day deal. We have to deal with this client again and again. So the positive attitude is must. And second, there are some difficult clients also, and there are some complaints also. So once you are in a frontline professional in an organization and some complaints come, so you have to show the positivity towards dealing that client, because that positivity remains. For example, if client says that these are the problems and these set of things I am facing with some service on or product, so that doesn't mean that what you just straightway ask a question. Rather, you should have an empathy to listen the client, and maybe come, yeah, okay, you have this kind of problem, okay, fine, we will see. And there are chances that you sometimes you may not be able to give a final solution to that particular problem. So it's better to take help of your team also, because if you are heading a team, a sales team in an organization, and there are some instances where when you go for a team help, there are some young professionals who can come out with a lot of innovative solutions for that particular problem. So in that case, what happens in this whole process, clients sees that you are serious about the problem that the client is facing. Plus, in a way, when you are showing empathy, that's a channel of relationship, a business relation is set with the client, and that also increase the loyalty towards the company and towards the product. It is not it doesn't matter you remain in this organization or not. Maybe after leaving one organization, you go to different organization, even that client comes along with you, and he already placed a trust in you, and he understands that you will be there to help him in case if he has a problem. So I think these few points are very, very important for building a client rapport.
So Kanchan, you mentioned very important point, which is empathy with a client. So as a face of the organization, suppose somebody is watching this program and is a startup CEO or a SME, I think how to be empathetic towards the client and also having listening ability to the problems that a client has is basically the point that we are trying to drive here. And I just want to go to Farida now because she handles a lot of people globally. Farida, how do you handle a problematic client? Because we can be empathetic, but client is the king, as we say, customer is king. So there has to be a balance between how much to listen, how much to empathize, and how do you handle a problematic client?
Sure. Now, this is a topic I can go on and on because this is my favorite topic. And even when I do trainings, this is something where we spend a lot of time. A problematic client. Now, the definition of a problematic client is different for different people. Everyone actually perceives a certain way of interaction as a problem. You could, face these situations in your life very often. One thing is to listen. We often actually, talk and we hear and we react because that's human nature, right? The key here is to listen, not just hear, but listen and respond. There are times when, the other party, the client, is going to be very, you might find it very unreasonable. But what do you do in that situation? Yes, you need to kind of, take a back seat and think, what is it that is bothering this person? Can you actually help to resolve it? Because if that is the only thing that will get this client back to the nice person that they were, then just resolve that. But if you think that these problems are a multitude of problems and this might not be one particular resolution, then I would go back to what Kanchan was saying. Take help of your team, because maybe a different face might be able to, mitigate this whole thing much better. A different set of hands, a different pair of ears and different pair of eyes could probably, just help to take away the heat of the moment. So I'll give an example. In my team, I have one of my colleagues, he had a complete disastrous situation with a client. The client was like angry and, he was shouting at him. And because of the experience that my colleague has, he just kind of, listened to everything that the client was saying. And he said that he will discuss it back with the team and go back to him. So what happened is that there was sleeping over because it was a weekend. Everyone slept over the problem. That gave my colleague the opportunity to actually understand where exactly is this dissatisfaction. What can we do to address that particular point? And he asked me if I was willing to be the face of that particular discussion for just one instance, because it will just take away all the focus from the not very nice conversation that they had, and it would just give the client an opportunity to talk to someone else, and they also will feel that somebody is listening to them. So sometimes it's okay to kind of, take a little bit of a backseat, because end of the day, a deal is a deal. End of the day, business is business. It doesn't matter how you bring that business. Taking someone's help might just help you, cross that bridge in a much more smoother way. So maybe, one of the ways to handle a problematic discussion, not just a client, is just to kind of take a backseat, listen, and go back after a while, after you've processed the information and realized where exactly is the issue. So to make it very structured, keep your world binary, take in information, don't get emotional. So, I attended a training many years ago where one of the things that the trainer actually said was, match the energy, don't match the emotion. So if someone is shouting at you, speak at that tone, but don't be angry, because that's just going to, convert this whole discussion to a not nice discussion. But if you match the tone, the other person kind of takes a little bit of a backseat and you are able to continue the conversation. And maybe that continuation is kinder than it was a couple of minutes ago.
So I think if I have to understand the point that you just made is that maybe it will help to restate the problem of the client in your own words, and that may give confidence that hey, my vendors have understood my issue and my problem. Um, I think one of the major aspect of building rapport, which everybody says, is that you should not always discuss business with your client. Sometimes you should also know your client personally. So, Kanchan, what is the importance of having a non-business conversation with the client, or maybe making some personal discussion with the client? Is it important or it is not important? What is your opinion?
Yeah, it is very important once you are making a rapport with the client, because uh, otherwise it'll sounds like as if you're just talking and you just want to have money, you just want to sell either product or services. And sometimes, not sometimes, actually most of the time client doesn't like it, because that becomes very harsh conversation. What I feel is, because we as human, we are emotional machine, and we have to show emotion and in a certain way, and we have to tackle that emotion in a certain way, because we are social, we have to show our social skills also to the client. So when we are talking and talking, it is good to have a personal relationship, personal mixed with business relationship, because that gives kind of smoothen the conversation. And then client is also kind of have a free thought process, and he can talk to you, he can pick up your phone when you're calling, and that gel, and it becomes friendly environment. And when it is a friendly environment, then we can discuss business with all casual talking. So I think it's very important to have a little personalization in the communication in the business, because that is how the all communication and relationship work. It's very important.
So, Kanchan, I think that's very important. So, one of the most important aspect of understanding your client is to understand his personal side of things. What he likes, what game he likes, what kind of food he likes, what is his liking, disliking, and so on. So, we are just scratching the surface here. And we have been discussing about how to build rapport by ensuring that we listen to the client, we solve his problem, we pronounce his name properly, and also know him personally. But having said all of that, Farida.
When I just want to add, when we know a client personally, it becomes easier to solve the problem also. So that is a benefit of being a personalized business communication.
Absolutely, it's a very valid point. So, Farida, we have taken care of all of that. We are still scratching the surface, but to start the ball rolling, we have taken care of everything. And still, we are not sure with certain clients how to respond. How do we handle those situations?
Okay. Again, I'm the queen of anecdotes and I have a lot of them. So let me share one. Many years ago, when I used to work for Barclays, there was a situation when someone was very angry. And I was also very young, very immature. I got angry as well. I was like, and everyone was screaming. And one of my senior colleagues, a very sweet Greek gentleman, his name is George Papasolomontis, and he actually put his hand on my shoulder and asked me to come on the side. He said, "Why are you losing your temper?" I said, "Because, he's shouting at me and, I'm getting agitated." And I said, "I'm here to do a job. I'm not here to be popular." He said, "But I want you to be popular." And that is something that's kind of stayed with me through the years. It's been many years now. But the thing is that when there will be situations when everything is not going to, work the way you want it or you hope it to work. There will be clients who will be more difficult than you think you can handle. But what actually works at any point in time is be calm. Like Kanchan said, that it's not necessary to just have a business communication, because end of the day you are not just doing a transaction, you are building a relationship to keep doing business continuously. And if you have that rapport with your client or with any party that you are doing business with, the navigation of their needs, the navigation of their organization becomes a lot simpler. It's a lot easier. So not every time, all these tips are going to work. Not every time you are going to be able to solve a problem, but then that is life. You just take a little bit of calm moment, do some meditation if you need to, and just move on. Because you can try your best to solve, you can try your best to address, but there will be times that you might still have an opportunity loss. That is life. Just pick yourself up and move on.
So I think you made a very important anecdote, if you allow me to say that. It is saying that being a young entrepreneur or a CEO or a sales head or a salesperson, you have to be popular amongst your client. So I think we can end our discussion today. There are many things which may be required, which may be, some of the things that we have said and discussed today are some may apply in 90% of the situations, but there could be 10% situation where these things that we discuss may not apply, and there has to be a help required to handle those things. But nevertheless, we had a very positive and fruitful discussion today in the Top Brass CEO Roundtable, and I'd like to thank my guests Kanchan and Farida for joining us today. We will catch up next Friday again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Akulmach Live, and I'm going to invite a very special guest today in our studios. His name is Mr. Naval Gun. He's chairman of Mindfit Limited, and he is going to throw a challenge at me. I don't know what that challenge is. I'm curious. So, without further ado, let me invite him.
Good morning, CK. Good morning, everybody. And yes, we've got a challenge for you. And this is part of our trip into what we should have learned at school, but didn't in some respects. And this is about being creative, being innovative, thinking outside the box, or coming outside your comfort zone even. All of those great little words and little terms that we're thrown at, but we never really understand. So here's the challenge today, CK. And what you need to do is come up with a whiteboard for me, because I need you to use your drawing excellence on the whiteboard. I know how difficult this is, so I'm trying to beef you up a bit here.
Sure, Naval.
And that's just drawing on the whiteboard.
Not a problem at all, Naval. Let me bring the whiteboard.
Yeah, bring out the whiteboard. Cover me up. Brilliant. As just by magic wand. Okay, what I'd like you to do, CK, is draw 9 dots on that whiteboard, a bit like this. Can you see those 9 dots?
Yes, I can see that.
So it's a square, 3 at the top, 3 in the middle, 3 at the bottom. Oh, we got squares. Fair enough. Doesn't matter. Ladies and gentlemen, believe you me, this is really not easy when you're doing it live. There's all the pressure on you, trying to concentrate, get the things in the right place. Well, I'm just putting even more pressure on by talking to him. But this happens in real life. We got pressure all the time. Anyway, we're coming up to 8, 9. Well done. Big round of applause. Congratulations. Okay, so here's the challenge, CK. In as few strokes as possible, without taking your pen off the paper. So with me, it's easy. You know, I can't take the pen off the paper, but I have to actually touch all of those 9 dots. Can you do that? But you mustn't take the pen. You mustn't take the pen off the screen, and they need to be straight lines.
So let me repeat the challenge. It is connecting all these 9 dots with minimum possible lines. All lines need to be straight and without lifting your pen.
Yeah, simple as that. We can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've almost made the number 9 there. There you go. So we look at patterns. Oh, congratulations. All right. Can you do it better than 5? Undo it. That's a nice thing about a whiteboard. You can just undo. And if it undoes completely, you know you've not taken your finger off the page. That's the other thing. Okay. So let's see if you can do it any better. Because this is about all going diagonally. There we go. Thinking. Now, using your imagination. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, still 5. Do you think you can do it any better? Just undo it.
I'm trying, Neville.
Yeah, I know you're trying. And by me asking you and you doing it live, you're getting into the frustration point, because you know that me challenging you means you should be able to do it in less than 5. But here you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're supposed to be getting better, CK. You know, now you're learning a little bit. You're supposed to be getting better. You know, you're practicing. You're supposed to be getting better. And you've done it worse. You know, go to the bottom of the class, CK. See how the pressure's coming on, everybody. I mean, this is what happens. And this is what we're talking about, being creative and being innovative. I'm going to put CK out of his annoying state. Yeah. So if you undo it, CK, I can do it in 4. Do you believe me?
Give me one more try, Neville. Let me see if I can solve it before you try 4.
Okay. We'll do it in red this time, so fair enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so 2 5s and 2 6s. Sorry to help you be more frustrated, CK. However, believe I can do it in 4? If you undo that, I'll show you how to do it in 4.
I believe you. I'm sure there is a, when you say it can be done in 4, there must be a way. So I will undo it and you tell me how to do it in 4 lines.
Okay, I'm going to give you some instruction, so because it's easier for you to do. Okay, start at the top left-hand corner and go straight down, but keep going. Imagine there's another square below the other one. So keep going straight down, about the same distance again, and stop there. Now, go diagonally to the middle of the bottom line, through the middle of the right-hand line, and keep going to imagine there's another square on the top line. There. That's 2. Now go straight over to where you started. That's 3. and diagonally across the square to make a bit of an arrow. 4. Fair, wasn't it?
Amazing. I mean, how you're going out of the area which you told me, and you're able to do it in less number of lines.
Exactly. And there's a message here, 2 messages. Firstly, I gave you a huge clue at the beginning. Think outside the box. I created a box. You didn't think outside the box because our imagination said there's a box. I need to stay in it. Happens so often. And the other thing I said is, this is going to test your creativity. So let's have it back up there, all right? Because we haven't finished yet. Undo it. Now, I can do it in 3. Do you believe I can do it in 3? You've got a clue now.
It is unbelievable, Neville, but if you're saying so, it must be true.
Well, just imagine now that you could go a little further than your screen, okay? So I'd like you to start in the top left-hand box and go through the very left-hand side of that box and go through the middle of the middle box and the right-hand side of the bottom box and keep going. Okay, stop. Now, draw that line across the middle in the same way. Those 3 in the same way. You can just imagine, folks, you can draw straight lines here. He's gone a bit curvy, but that's because the page is a little too small, and you can do it again. So there you've done it in 3, CK. And again, outside the box. Limiting our imagination by staying inside the box. Okay, simple. Can you do it in less than 3, CK?
I was about to ask you that.
No, I'm the teacher. You're the student. Come on, man. What's going on here, Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you think you can do it in less than 3? Or do you think I can do it in less than 3? There you go, being very specific.
Well, I am sure I can't do it in less than 3. Unless my teacher shows it to me, I will believe that.
Well, I know you could if you spent a bit of time on it. And again, the answer is on your screen. So undo. Just undo. So we're back to the normal screen. Yeah, pick the widest brush you can. And maybe you can't pick the widest brush, but I could pick a big brush. I can pick a big brush, if you can see me, a paintbrush, a huge paintbrush. I can even pick a bigger paintbrush and colour the screen in one colour. And I've covered it with one swoop, one line. And all I've done now, in the first instance, we've moved outside of the box, which is what Edward de Bono wanted you to do. Think outside the box. But all of your training, even though I gave you a clue, all of your training says you couldn't do that. You had to stay inside the box. So that's number 1. The other thing is change the rule. Change the brush. I didn't say it had to be the one you picked. You picked it. Again, you have the whole toolbar there. And the other thing is you could have also changed the screen. So let me just show you an example, okay? I've got the 3 dots here. I could have quite easily folded the paper to put those 3 dots all together across the page and then just draw one line with the thinnest pen possible. I could have even cut the piece of paper up and put the dots one behind the other. And I would have covered all 9 dots with one swoop. So this is a simple lesson, okay? Now, we weren't taught this at school, but we should have been taught how to think. That's how to think. And by coming with us on a journey, on a MindFit journey, we'll call it, it'll help you think even more. And that's when you start having a can-do attitude. That's when you start thinking outside of the box, going beyond your comfort zone. Thank you for being the guinea pig today, CK. Sorry for frustrating you, but it's not the first time I've done it, and it certainly won't be the last. So I hope our viewers have had an interesting trip, and look forward to seeing them on something more interesting at another occasion.
See you next time, Neville. And it was a great learning for me.
Cheerio, everybody.
Hello friends, this is Chandra. Welcome to Top Brass. Today we will discuss about the corona scare which has happened in India. Even though it came, it's a global news, but we have been hearing about corona, how to prevent, etc. The government of India has been very proactive, and they have announced do's and don'ts, what we should do, what we should not do, etc., etc. So I will not repeat all of those because many of us have seen the directives. Many of us have basic knowledge of personal hygiene, and we are all of us are quite serious about not getting infected with this virus, and hence we have to take care of our own health. Now, one of the key things that has come out in this is that avoid social gathering, and even the Prime Minister of India is leading the way. He has already said that he is not going to celebrate Holi this year, and all of us know that Holi is such a big festival for Hindus. It's one of the major festival, and we are not going to play Holi. So this is something very, very profound, and we need to convince ourselves not to get into social gathering, because that can start the epidemic. So I think we can do our own rituals. We can do puja at home, and we stay at home on Holi. That's the first thing that the Prime Minister of India is trying to convey to all of us. Second thing is, I think this concept of not participating in the social gathering, at least for some time, give rise to a need, which is how do we carry on our business without getting social. There are certain activities which requires you to be in the presence of other people. For example, students are going to school. They will have to interact with 50 to 100 students when they are at school, and another 20 teachers on an average. Similarly, people who are in different activities which are related to public relations. So lately, after the new government has come in 2014, the emphasis has been on the online medium. So why can't we look at transitioning all these activities which require social gathering, and this is the right time to experiment with this. For example, the schools can get into very seriously into e-learning space, and then there is no compulsion for students to visit the schools on every day. They can visit on certain days, and they can make their studies while sitting at home. So they can have a combination of school and home study using the online medium. Similarly, carrying on official meetings. There could be software available which can create an official environment. In fact, there are companies which are already providing the VPN facility. In fact, there are a lot of companies using this, and because of this corona scare, a lot of companies have in fact encouraged their employees to work from home. How they have encouraged their employees? Because all of their laptops carry VPN, and when they use VPN, they get a secure connection to their office networks. So why can't we use sort of extend this whole thing into a virtual office environment where people don't have to go to office? So the technology is already there. it is available. All we have to do is basically package this nicely so that the interaction can be brought in online, and people start traveling only when it is very essential. So what you will do, you will actually achieve the same results by using online medium. You get into meetings, you basically collaborate using a collaboration tool like Google or Microsoft, and yet you don't physically travel. You travel only on need basis. So you first save yourself from contracting all these different diseases. Second, you will save the fuel cost, you will save the environment, and you will not waste a lot of time getting stuck in the traffic. So you have your own personal time at your own hand. So number one, let's very seriously implement e-learning for education institutes and schools. Very seriously look for virtual office solutions, how we can extend the VPN facility which is currently provided and use into a virtual environment. Thirdly, we can also do already the TV is a very strong medium, so we can actually get into webinars, very serious interactive webinars. So where people need to give speech, they can actually have an interactive session. So there could be another medium like that which is linked to social media. So these are the ideas which are coming to my mind, and I thought I'll bring to your attention. Especially it's the right time with the corona scare that we can start experimenting with some of these online medium, even though these mediums are available for last many years, 15 to 20 years, but for some reason people have not really gone deep into this. They have not really experimented with this, and this is the right time to start very seriously migrating our education systems to e-learning, migrating our office to virtual office environment. So with this, I will see you tomorrow again. Bye bye. So with this thought, let me end this discussion today, but I will like to welcome your comments and what you feel about this whole concept, which I think is very doable in today's time, especially when the bandwidth is available, the solutions are available. All we need to do is the will and the packaging. So I will meet you again, friends, very soon with something more interesting and some more analytics that I feel are important to bring to you. Until then, bye bye.
Hello friends, this is Akulmach Live and I'm your friend Chandrakant. Today we are going to discuss about the paid awards. There are many paid awards that we keep hearing about, and there are really good ones also which are not paid. So the whole question is you should get into those paid awards or not. Is it worth it? So it's a very interesting discussion. Before we start this topic, a word from our sponsor.
This video is sponsored by Performance Works International.
Are you ready for the challenges facing the modern workplace? Recent events have taught us the importance of transformation. Businesses now face a perfect storm of challenges. No business is too big to fail, and many are too slow to succeed. Our workforce is changing fast. We're entering a new age of empowerment, and everyone can contribute. The Inner CEO reveals how we can all play a part in making leading at all levels a reality. Written by Jeremy Blaine, an expert on business transformation and growth, it provides a roadmap to help everyone unleash their inner CEO and contribute beyond their job role, whatever their level. Traditionally, strategy has been owned by the few. Now it's time for the many to contribute. Leadership must come from a broader base. Everyone has the potential to step up and make things happen. It's a new model of collective and collaborative leadership which unleashes the power of people, enabled by appropriate technology and a supportive management structure. The book provides a roadmap for a bold new age of empowerment. Supported by a range of resources, the book provides a toolkit to help anyone unleash their inner CEO. Organisation health, development and growth is owned at all levels. Are you ready to unleash the inner CEO?
Welcome back, friends. And the paid award, my goodness, such a big subject, There are so many emails which are floating around where they say, hey, you pay us so much and we'll give you the best People's Choice Award. Is it worth it? That is a point that we want to discuss. There are different types of awards. There are gallantry awards, which are really there is no payment. You have to show gallantry to earn that respect and that award. Then there are awards which are given by the government, which requires no payment at all. You don't have to participate in any contest or make any payment. You have to contribute in reality to the society. So when you are actually contributing to the society, it is for the goodness of your own goodness which is coming out, and you are actually working for the benefit of the people. And then there are so many awards which requires some sort of nomination, some sort of participation, some sort of contest. And by the way, friends, this is a live show. So whichever part of the world, from whichever social media you are watching this, you can actually send your comment or your question, and I can display your comment and your question straight on the screen and answer that. So continuing further, there are so many emails that we have been getting, especially in last 2 years, especially after the pandemic kicked in, that, hey, you participate in this award and I will, make you a rising unicorn. I can make you as a most recognized chief executive. I will make you global influencer. I will make you a promising new company. And for that, you need to pay us X and X amount. And, the frequency of such emails is so high. I can actually, if I recall, I am able to get such email from whoever they are. There are so many different awards once every week. And I'm sure you can share, when I say this, you can recall all these emails which are floating around, and they are asking something like minimum $500 and upwards of that. And then there are certain awards which says that, hey, you pay me. They don't say pay me. They say that you participate and pay the fee to participate as a contestant. And out of these 1,000 companies, we will select you as a budding unicorn. And that will give you a lot of benefit. So if you give us $10,000, I will give you ABC. If you give me $25,000, I will give you DEF plus ABC. And if you give me $50,000, I will give you XYZ. And all the way up to ABC. So the promise is pretty high. They will give you a shield. They will do your advertising. They will organize seminars where you actually go spend your own time, talk about it, promote yourself. So you pay the money and promote yourself, and so on and so forth. So whoever actually gives the money will get recognized at a higher pedestal. I don't think this is an award which is going to take you very long, because especially in last 2 years, when there are spam mails floating around and saying, hey, you come and I have selected you, your company has been selected, And if you win the award, you will get so much funding, you will get so much earnings, so things like that. Is it true? Not really, because the awards are, in the first place, are paid, and like you have got this email, million others have also got this email. So everybody knows that this award is a paid award. And in future, if you publish a picture on one of the social media where you're holding the placard like this and standing and saying, hey, I've been recognized by so and so, I have been the promising budding unicorn, or I am the most recognized chief executive, I am a technician, I have done this kind of work, everybody will know that you have paid that money to get that award. So in nutshell, you will not gain any mind share of anyone if you actually project yourself winning an award. And I have been seeing, such mistakes being committed by a lot of my industry colleagues, where they are actually publishing these awards very happily, holding in their hand, hey, this is what my award is. I have been chosen among thousands of people by so and so agency, and they have declared me the IT man of the year, or IT woman of the year, or unicorn of the year, etc. Whatever, you can think of any type of title that comes to your mind, and then you show it to the world, you show it to your friends, you show that post on Facebook. Some people may further spend money to publicize this post, taking their picture far and wide. But more you actually project this picture, more harm it will do to you, because thousands and thousands of people would have seen the initial email from this company saying that if you participate in this contest by paying $5,000, $10,000, that means you are actually buying your award. And this is not the way awards should function. Awards should be completely unbiased. It should be completely based on meritocracy. That means without any knowledge of you being considered, you must do your selfless work. You must continue your selfless work in that area, and you should genuinely get recognized by some agency without you actually applying for that recognition. Award will actually bring recognition. What is the meaning of award? You have been awarded because you have done exceptional work in that area, in that field, and out of these 10,000 companies or 100,000 people, you have shined. You have shined through. You have shined out. You are visible from very, very far off. So if there is a recognition in the form of award, it's a good branding. If you actually get some recognition out of that, it's a good branding. And for this branding, you are not spending money. You are just doing your work for which you are getting recognized. And as I said, the award brings recognition. And if you pay for that recognition, that recognition has no meaning at all. The second thing I thought I will make another video on it, but let me cover it right now. And that is about the endorsement. Now, endorsement is also a big thing. For example, there are certain movie stars who are saying, if you are a women entrepreneur, I will endorse your work. Just send me your email. I will send an endorsement. You can use this endorsement from me freely. Now, this kind of email has, it's not an email, it's a social media post from this very popular, very famous person. And there are so many, actually. There are at least 10 I have seen myself, where all these movie stars are willingly telling their businesses of different types and different kinds. From their point of view, they're trying to encourage people. They're trying to say that, hey, I'm putting my name behind you. I have already got a big brand. My name is a big brand, and I'm actually giving it to you for free. if you actually approach me through the usual media, my time will cost you millions of dollars, but I'm giving it for free. So from their point of view, it is absolutely fine. But imagine if you get a recognition from for free from a very popular public person, and then you say that I have been recognized by this person as entrepreneur of the year, or a unicorn, or technically most advanced solution. I'm solving this pain of the society. I'm doing this work. People immediately will think, hey, it is free. Anybody can get it. It is not an endorsement which has happened because you have done something. So even if you have done something good, people will put that in that in a waste basket, because you've got a free endorsement. So the whole point of talking and bringing this, talking about this subject and bringing it very openly, I know this could be controversial, but I'm still discussing it, that there are so many award companies everywhere. This paid award is a big business. Especially it started off in the movies industries, where it's an open fact that to get your award, you need to pay. You need to sponsor the award itself. So if you're sponsoring the award, you have to first decide which award you will get. You will get the Man of the Year award, Man of the Lifetime Achievement award, Women, etc., Best Heroine. These are all paid awards, and it directly depends on how much money you spend to get an award. And this really started, and this is now for last 2 years I've been seeing one mail, and then there are repeat mails. Hey, we have selected you. You pay immediately to remain in the contest. They are actually putting pressure by sending these email back and forth. They are following up and asking for a lot of money to buy these awards. These awards will not give any branding to you. So I thought I'll talk to you very openly. It's controversial, but it is a fact. If you pay money, somebody, I think many are very intelligent. Many of my colleagues are intelligent. They will not buy their awards. They want to be recognized for the good work they are doing. And that is why the brand has to be really developed, nurtured. But if they are actually paying money and getting these awards and then demonstrating this award in their Facebook post, I think it's a very, very counterproductive activity which you should not be doing. So friends, please engage with me. If you like this subject, send in your comments. I will reply each and every comment of you, and I will meet you next time in the Akulmach Live with something more interesting. Until then, I'd like to say goodbye for today.